Hey guys, Andy here, and I'm here to bring you all things Monday to makeup related. If that's your vibe, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to be part of my little slice of the internet. And in today's video, I'm bringing you another episode in my chopping block series. I have a whole bunch of things in front of me, so if you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on things that I threw in my chopping block, it's palettes, it's cheek products, eye products, and everything in between, then let's get into it. Alright, so I'm just going in the order that I wrote things down, so it's not in any order of like face application. So the very first thing I threw in my chopping block was this LYS blush stick. It is in the shade Bubbly. So this is what it looks like. I will swatch everything that I actually have in front of me for you guys. So this is the shade. And I'm decluttering this. It's too shiny for me as a blush. It does glide onto the skin nicely. I think it is a really nice formula, but it's also a very similar color to my Jeffree Star Lollipop Luxury Blush. It's like a half a shade deeper, but it gives the same effect on the skin, but like this is just literally metallic, and I just don't like a metallic-y shimmery blush. So if they had matte blushes in this formula, I would absolutely get them. I got this in a giveaway, so I'm not too concerned about it, but here, I can show you it blended out. The metallicness does go down a little bit as you blend it out, but it's still just extremely shiny, and that's just not my preference when it comes to blush. I'm just not a shiny fan. So that is gonna go in my declutter. Let me get on a new makeup wipe since I'm gonna be swatching things. Already got one, so we're ready to go. So that is our first declutter. Most of these things that were in my chopping block actually are getting decluttered, which is okay. The next item was this blush from NYX, and it's one of their Sweet Cheeks. This is the Glow blushes, and this is in Citrine Rose. So here's what it looks like, and this is just, it's another, so glowy blushes I'm okay with. I just didn't love this color on my cheeks, because I did keep another glowy blush, but it also just wasn't as glowy as this one was on the cheeks. It paired really nicely with that LYS blush, so hopefully one of my friends will take both of them and pair them together, because I think that looked really nice. It's just not my preference. So that's going to get decluttered as well. Next, we have a keep. This Jaclyn Cosmetics bronzer. This is in the shade Birthday Suit, which looks like this. It does smell like espresso, which I love personally. So I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this. Let me build it up just a little bit. So it is a more on the yellow side, but I actually like the color. I like the coffee scent. It's a different tone than the other bronzers I have in my collection, but I think it looks nice. It doesn't go with every look that I wear, but I do end up thinking that overall it looks nice. Because I've put this on a chopping block twice, which in my head is like, well then maybe you should just go ahead and declutter it. But both times that I've put it on my chopping block, I've decided to keep it because I do end up liking it. So I think it's one of those things that I need to just keep it, but understand that it doesn't look good with every makeup look. Like some of my other bronzers where I can pair them with every look and it looks totally fine. But that is going to be a keep. Next we have from Bo Babe Beauty. This is another blush. This is in the shade Coral. Coral that kills people. And this is like that NYX blush on crack. So this is extremely pigmented and extremely shiny. So that is the color. I liked it on the cheeks, and I tried it a second time because the first time I wore it, I was like, you know, it's kind of pretty. But it's just, I don't like the pinkiness that it blends out. Like if you can see on the edges how pink this is, I don't like that. And it's just too intense of a color and too intense of a shininess. So I just can't do it. I have another Bow Bay Beauty blush because like their formula is great, and I kept that one because it's a matte. It's just the formula on this one, I can't do it. So that one is a declutter. Next we have an eyeliner. This is from Prada Beauty. I did get this from Influencer, and I don't use black eyeliner. That's all this is just a simple black eyeliner. And it's a beautiful, nice black eyeliner, and I thought about keeping it because you never know when you're going to need a black gel pencil. But I wear pencil eyeliners in my waterline. That's it. And I've tried this several times. The formula is beautiful. It glides on easily. It stays put. It's a really nice gel. It's great. But I just can't wear black in my waterline anymore. I think brown is the deepest that I can go, and even then I think that might be a little too dark for me in my waterline. I just don't like black in my waterline, and I don't like gel pencils on my upper lash line. I just don't think that they perform well. If I'm going to go for something, if I'm going to do a wing, I'm going to use a liquid liner. For the once a month I do a winged liner, I'm going to use a liquid liner. So I just don't see a reason to keep this around. So I'm gonna pass this on to a friend who uses black liner, because it's not me, and it's a sharpenable pencil, so I feel much more comfortable passing that on to someone. I used it all of 3 times. Next we have from Wet n Wild. This I only used once, so we can just chop the little tip off because this is a retractable liner. This is one of their Chameleon Chrome eyeliners. This one's in the shade Electric Prism. So I've just found that I don't like shimmery eyeliners. They don't show up in my waterline, and when they do show up in the waterline, they irritate my eyes. And I even tried this as like an inner corner highlight, and these are just way too stiff to use that way, so I'm decluttering this. And I put that one in my chopping block because it's such a pretty color. I wanted to use it again just to make sure that that was a shade that I didn't want. So definitely not one that I am keeping. I'm going to talk about these together because the reason I'm keeping both of these products is because I have found a way to use them together. So we have my Glamlight Scooby-Doo Highlighter Duo and my Rutro Raggy palette. So my palette, I've pulled this into a chopping block twice because I love the greens. My complaint is that the shimmers are dark. These two are basically the same, and I just don't feel I have an inner corner highlight. My highlight duo, my complaint is they're kind of glittery. I don't really love these on the face. So I had an epiphany. What if I use this, because they're pink and green, as an inner corner highlight for this palette? Use the green one for the greeny looks, use the pinky purple one for the purple look. It turned out, get lipstick on the palette. It turned out beautifully. Looked great. Didn't irritate my eyes. So that's what I want to use this for. I want to use this as an eye topper. So this is actually now listed in my single shadows, not in my highlights, which I know this is a lot of product for single shadows, but I just don't like it on the face. I don't like it as a highlight, but I do really enjoy it as an eye topper. So that's why I will be keeping this. And because of that, it made me really love this palette because Scooby-Doo is super nostalgic for me. I watched Scooby-Doo growing up. I had a Scooby-Doo pillow that I cuddled with to fall asleep when I was a little kid. Like, it was a show I watched as a child a lot. So it's really nostalgic for me. I already got rid of the Creeps and Crawls palette because that palette was just way too dark. And I honestly kind of regret getting rid of that palette. But, so I really do want to keep this one because I love these murky greens. So, the fact that I found a way to make this palette work for me makes me extremely happy. So, I will be keeping these. Next, we have a string of declutters here. We have the Betty Boop Oop a Doop palette, which, let me look in my little schedule here. I think you will have seen my comparing palettes first. But let me see. So there's comparing palettes. No, you will be seeing my comparing palettes in 2 weeks. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I am decluttering this palette. That is all you're going to get out of me. If you want to know why I will be decluttering this palette, you'll have to stay tuned to watch my comparing palettes video between this and my Jeffree Star Weirdo palette. Next, we have my Jeffree Star Lollipop Killer. So originally, I decluttered this because it was very similar to my Pink Religion palette. Well, my Pink Religion palette went off, and I had to declutter that. I did scrape out all the shadows because I want to keep the Pink Religion packaging for a background, because I will be changing my background here in the next few... I need to get shelves. That's what I'm waiting on. I just haven't bought shelves to redo my background, but that's neither here nor there. So then I put this in my chopping block, because I was like, well, these are the same tones. If I had to get rid of that palette, let me see if I like this. And the shimmers bother me greatly. This is a satin, and I don't like satins, and you have to finagle with this shimmer so much to make it work that it bothers me greatly. And I just don't love this color story to the point where I feel this one works. I think his 9 pans are either fantastic or they suck. There is no in between. So this one just isn't for me, and that one's gonna go. And most of these declutters are listed on my Mercari, so I'll have my Mercari listed in the description box in case you're wanting any of these palettes. Next we have the Pat McGrath Lunar Nightshade palette. This is from the Bijou Brilliance collection. I have a bunch of friends who have this palette, and they just talk about how beautiful it is. So I pulled this into my chopping block because I was like, am I getting rid of it just because? Or have I really given it enough love? Well, I used the whole palette in a look, and it's not for me. The only shade I really love out of this palette is this center shade, and that is not a reason enough for me to keep this. So it's gonna go. Then I have some pictures for you because I actually threw out these 2 palettes. I have the Viseart Bijou, which is the orange toned palette here. So I tried it again because I know I did a whole Viseart palette showing how I was allergic to Viseart. But I watched a video, someone had an allergic reaction to a formula. They tried it again and they were totally fine. So apparently that's a thing that can happen. So I was like, I swear to all that is holy, if it was a one-time thing, no, it was not a one-time thing. I also had an allergic reaction when I tried these palettes again. So Viseart's just not for me. But the Bijou palette swatched horribly, it was chalky, and the only shade I liked out of this palette is that duochrome. So, yeah. I ended up throwing that duochrome shade into, and I'll show you this one, the Viseart Amour palette, which is the purple tone palette. This one also irritated my eyes immediately. I'm not putting up with that with my palettes, so I decluttered that one as well, and I just threw them away because I got them through Ipsy. I don't know how old they are. I was just throwing them away. I was not going to pass those on to a friend. Then another item I have to show you a picture of because I threw it away because I just don't think it's something any of my friends would want. This is the Jaclyn Cosmetics Loverboy Loose Blush. It just didn't have any base pigment. I tried to swatch it. It's a beautiful color. It's a slightly glowy orange blush, but it just like lost all its pigment. You couldn't see it on the face. You couldn't see it in a swatch. Like I tried building and building and building, and you couldn't see it, even after multiple layers. So I think it was just done. So I threw that away because I guess its time was finally up. Next we have and this one hurts me. This is the Pat McGrath Nude Venus Blush and Glow Face Palette. So we have 4 blushes and a highlighter. So I used the whole face palette, and I just found that like these three blushes don't have a crazy amount of pigment. Like you really have to build them up, and those shades aren't that special in my collection. This shade is crazy pigmented, but I also have another blush from Tarte in this kind of shade that I like better. This highlighter, if you pick this up with a brush, it is so chunky that like you have to pick this up with your finger. With your finger, this highlight is super pretty, which I pick my highlighters up with both a brush and a finger anyway, but this palette overall is not something I just need to keep in my collection, so it can go. Then we have another thing I have to show you a photo of. That's my Pretty Evil and Ice Nine Kills Welcome to Horrorwood palette. This one was hard for me. At the end of the day, was only keeping it for the blacks and grays. That's really what I only loved out of the palette. Everything else was mediocre at best. I was keeping it for the fact that it was an Ice Nine Kills collab, and once I realized that, I had to let it go. That has actually already been sold on my Mercari. It's already gone and out of my collection, but it had to go, because that's not a reason to keep something. Then we have my Natasha Denona Trio Chrome palette, and this isn't bad. It's not bad at all. When I tried it on, it's not a bad palette. Blues are not really my thing anymore, so though I don't mind having blues in my collection, I do not need a monochromatic blue palette. And the only shade I truly, truly love out of this palette is this light shimmer. I wish her mini palettes, you could depot them, like all of her other sizes, because I would mix and match all of my little guys as well, but you can't, so it's gonna go. Then we have, oh, I didn't grab those out. We have my Glam Light Margarita palette. So I originally decluttered this because it feels like a companion palette. I feel like I don't really know what to do with this. Like, I could do something with this quad, something with like this right here, and then like, what do you do really with this? But I threw this into a project pan. So for now, I'm keeping it. I have to do, I think, 14 or 18 uses on the shade Watermelon. So I might declutter it at the end of that project, but for right now, it is staying in my collection. And then I also have from Glam Light the Chocolate Martini palette. Same real reason, I just felt like there's a lot of gold in this palette, and I've just realized that's not the tone of gold that I prefer. And I don't know, this palette just... Why is there a purple? Which is funny, because that's what I rolled into my project. It's just an interesting mix of neutrals and color. I don't know. This palette is just interesting to me. But I also rolled this into that same project, and I have to use 5 pans 5 times. So I chose Vanilla Vodka, Happy Hour, All Night, Girls Night Out, and Dark Chocolate. So I've used, this is actually what's on my eyes today, all 5 of those shades. So, yeah. And so far, like, they turned out really nice. I actually really like them, so we shall see if that stays in my collection at the end of the project. Then the last photo of something I have to show you, and that is the Natasha Denona Peak palette. It's just not special enough of a formula from Natasha Denona or color story in my collection to keep. For Natasha Denona, I've just found it's either special or it's not, and this just wasn't. So it can go. Then we have, this one really blew me away. We have the Glam Light Michaela palette. This is the first one. I ended up using some of the pinks and purples and then these greens over here. I did a Cosmo and Wanda look, like, thing where I did opposite top and bottom. It turned out so pretty. The shimmers were great. The mattes were wonderful. It's just the beautiful Glam Light formula that I've come to know and love. And even though this is a bigger palette, and I've come to find out that I don't really reach for these bigger palettes, I really like this. And I could see myself at the end of the project decluttering the Martini and the Margarita palette to just keep this. But for now, I really do want to keep this. I love the packaging. I love the rhinestones. I really liked the formula within the palette. I thought that it performed more than great. So it's something that I will be keeping. really blew me away. And last, but certainly not least, something on my chopping block. They are now housed in my single shadows. We have the Sydney Grace face palette in light. So it's this shade, the bronzer, and these two blushes here. I depotted them. It was actually really easy. The only shade that got a little nicked was this blush here in Sweet Pea, and that's because I accidentally moved my hand. But, because they're magnetic, but they were glued into the packaging. So that is what I've done, because I feel like I'll get much more use out of them as single shadows, because I already had a single highlight, than I would have in the palette by themselves. So, though I didn't love the palette, I will, I think, love them much more by themselves in my single shadow collection. So I am keeping them, but I didn't keep the palette itself intact. So that is everything in my chopping block part 2 that I am doing. I don't currently have anything else in my chopping block at the moment. That could change, you know, at the drop of a hat. So if I do another one of these, obviously you guys will see it here in a few months. But for right now, that's the end of this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.